We're live.
Okay, Steve, you want to run the video?
The AWP Conference 2021 North America is a two-day virtual event focused on optimizing advanced work packaging systems for more efficient and effective integrated project delivery from the front end through to commissioning and startup. This conference brings together hundreds of key construction industry stakeholders to discuss and explore current project performance challenges. Attendees will take away practical recommendations for an improved AWP approach and better project results. Over the course of 2 days, you'll have access to nearly 30 hours of material developed and presented by recognized industry subject matter experts. Day 1 is all about work-phase planning or field-level execution improvement. Learn how to establish a material management system for AWP projects, how to create buildable packages, and how to achieve better results with real-world contractor case studies. Day 2 is all about front-end planning. Is AWP and engineering the final frontier? What is comprehensive front-end planning, and how do you make the right initial decisions to improve your project's chances for success? How do you build with the end in mind and ensure a seamless transition from area-based construction to systems turnover? Throughout the event, you can attend multiple breakout sessions on topics such as current research initiatives, materials, data management, new and emerging technologies, and more. Also, don't miss the first ever AWP Awards presentation. Welcome to Advanced Work Packaging Conference 2021 North America.
Great. Well, thanks for that, Steve. I'm Lloyd Rankin, the event organizer, and we have on the system Alexis Thorne, who is going to be our day 1 chair, and Silvana Lara, who is our day 2 chair. They are also the co-chairs of the conference itself, and they'll be walking you through the day 1 and day 2 activities. We're thrilled this year to have an award ceremony that they will both be presiding over. So because this is Alexis's show for day 1, I'm just going to hand it over to him, and I'll be hovering in the background.
All right, thank you for that, Lloyd, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Advanced Work Packaging Conference. Pleased that you're all able to make it and participate in it with us. A little bit about me. I'm the head of engineering for global projects at LyondellBasell, and really wanted a chance to participate in the Advanced Work Packaging Conference this year to try and take things a little bit forward from where we sit as an industry. We have been focusing a lot on data standards and making sure we have the understanding of how the data should work in an EWP system. But really, it's now time to look at how do we deploy this data, make use of the systems and tools that we're starting to develop. As an industry, we decided the data was the most important thing, but really even more important is how we make use of that data in the field and turn that into ultimately outcomes that benefit us in terms of construction. Why is this important? Well, there's plenty of things we want to do in the AWP space that we have not yet been able to. And I think coming to a better understanding of how the tools and how the different data streams can work together really will help benefit AWP going forward for all of us. And of course, we want to build out the use of AWP across industries, but also geographically. Steve, you want to go to the next one? So the conference theme this year is optimize your advanced work packaging systems. If you look at the 2-day agenda, it's really less about that data definition and standards and really more about real world applications of AWP techniques. Optimizing your AWP systems is really looking at how we can expand the use of AWP in industry, but the various technologies and methodologies that can be used to deploy the technology successfully. So it's really not about say how WP ought to work, but really how to do it better, how to optimize our use of it. You'll see that the conference themes and focuses really are upon how to make use of AWP in the real world, and less about data standards and expectations of standards. It really is the focus on how to do things right. Oh, Steve. So day one, today's theme is really around work-based planning, how to organize your field for success using AWP, talking about how to take the engineering into the field. The three plenaries will really focus on steps to deploy AWP successfully. The first one being materials management, which is key to success in deploying AWP in really any construction site. The next discussion is on work-based planning, how to do the upfront planning for success in the site, and then ultimately a case study describing how this was actually done in the real world on a real project. The breakout sessions will focus on tools, techniques used by practitioners of advanced work packaging to achieve both results that are best in class and ultimately work towards outcomes that we really are hoping that the AWP techniques hope to achieve. I think the whole schedule ultimately nicely encapsulates the practical nature of AWP, and looking at it in terms of how to use the tools rather than talking about ways to make them better. All right, Steve. All right. So before we get further into it, let's take a moment to talk about safety. I want to take a time here to have a sort of a non-traditional safety moment. We tend to focus on things associated with construction sites or perhaps process safety in our designs, but oftentimes we don't focus on sort of the larger aspect of mental health. Last year, some of you may be aware, the Center for Disease Control put out a survey on suicide rates inside or across various industries. And disappointingly, construction was the second highest of all industries in terms of its rate. Farming, fishing, forestry was first. The report showed that our rate of suicide per 100,000 people was 3 to 4 times higher than you might see in other industries. And this is a little concerning. They postulated several different reasons why this might be the case. The demographics of the construction industry tend to concentrate people who may be more susceptible to suicide. Certainly the stresses of the industry itself and the profession may often lead to issues where suicide is something that people tend to contemplate. But most importantly, mental health is not something we often think about inside the construction industry, and that's really a shame. We tend to be focused on people being successful and driving results, but not necessarily considering their mental state. And most of this data that the CDC released was pre-COVID, so the situation has likely not improved since then. So there, obviously, in the center of the screen are several resources you can turn to if you have feelings of your own or know of those who may be feeling of something that might lead to that type of action. But the most important resource is really us, all of us here on this conference, who work with people every day, interact with people, and really are the first line of defense about ensuring that if people do have changes in mood, behavior, or thoughts, that we can be a resource, whether to guide them to one of the many resources out there, or just be caring, understanding, and encourage the ability to talk about mental health issues in an open and constructive way. The industry of construction tends to be very driven by people who are very focused on results. Sometimes we need to take a step back and look and make sure that we're doing right by ourselves. So it's a little untraditional for a safety moment, but I think it's an important one and one we don't often talk about. All right, Steve, let's move on. All right, before we begin, I want to thank a number of people who helped make the conference possible. First, the owner sponsors, without whom there wouldn't be a conference. These organizations contribute not just financial, but the support of their organization and the people inside them, who help generate the conference content, but also help set the agenda for what owners wish to see. Ultimately, owners are the ones who look to these techniques to help them build projects. And so it's important to make sure we get owner buy-in and owner support. These organizations here have really been key to helping establish the setup and structure of the conference. So I do want to thank the group shown here for their support. It's very important. Hope it continues. Steve. Then there's our conference level sponsors. Additionally, these guys are really another group of people for whom there would be no conference if there wasn't dedicated support from these conference level sponsors. These guys have worked very hard, not only to produce what I'll say is content for the conference, but really they're the practitioners, the people who best understand what AWP can become and understand and want to demonstrate its potential. So these guys produce the tools and the services that really help AWP flourish and move forward. So for today, they have produced quite a bit of content. You'll see them in the breakout sessions, but I do want to thank them for all their efforts and support to help us move the conference forward. Then, of course, the breakout sponsors. Thank you, Steve. These guys produce the breakout content, and there's probably nearly 20 different breakout sessions that you can attend. It's kind of a shame it's not possible to attend them all. But across the multiple days, you're really going to see quite a lot of worthwhile material from these guys. So again, not just a financial support, but generating the content that becomes the conference. These guys have put an awful lot of work in. So I think that's really, really key. And please make sure you're attending if you can. Then our executive steering committee. As a member of this myself, I want to thank the entire group for all the hard work that goes into putting a conference like this together. Big time commitment here from a lot of people, a lot of different moving parts, and a good amount of engagement for everybody. So it really is key to putting together an event like this, to have a steering team that really is involved, really participates, and really wants to be heavily engaged. So personally, I'd like to thank this team, but also on behalf of the conference, I want to thank the organizations that volunteered their people's time to be part of it and help put it together. And then finally, our advisory board. These are the people who do the actual work. All the different plenary sessions, as well as some breakout sessions, you'll see were put together by this team. Again, a lot of very talented people whose organizations donated their time to help build out the conference. So these guys have a really important job in not just making the content, but making sure it does get made, and so that the conference can actually move forward. So very committed team here. Oh, and I want to thank them very much. All right, Steve, you're up.
Thank you. So I want to just introduce the two different tools that we'll be making use of to facilitate Q&A periods during each of our sessions throughout the conference. For all plenary sessions, you're in a plenary session now, we'll be using slido.com, using event code AWP21. So you can access slido.com in a browser on your PC or on your phone's internet browser or a tablet if you're using a tablet. We'll bring up slido.com at each of our Q&A periods, and you'll be prompted to join in and take part in the Q&A at those times. For certain breakout sessions, we'll actually be using the questions tool here in the GoToWebinar control panel. You'll find that in your attendee view in those appropriate sessions. So we're actually going to jump into Slido right now. We'd like to run some quick polls. This will help us learn more about you, as well as give you a chance to try out Slido and get used to how it works. So let's go ahead and switch over. As you can see on screen, join us at slido.com. You can scan the QR code alternatively using your phone, and that will bring up Slido automatically. I'm going to go ahead and run the first question for today. Please tell us, what is your role in industry? Choose the best or most appropriate response from the available options. Lots of replies rolling in already. That's great. Thank you. And I'll leave it to Lloyd or Alexis to speak to these results live, and let me know when you'd like me to move to the next poll.
Lloyd, do you want to jump in?
As you can see, owners primarily making up the majority.
Sorry,
Go for it.
I was on mute.
Oh, no worries, Lloyd.
Go ahead, Steve. Finish your thought.
Oh, no worries. I was just going to say so far the results. Let me know if you disagree, Lloyd. look a lot like past conferences with owners and EPCs making up the bulk of respondents?
Yes, and what we found is we based the conference around basically the owners and EPCs and contractors, because if you look at the EPCs, contractors, and engineering, these are the ones that build the projects, and the owners are the ones that will have the projects at the end and pay for it. So everything that we have put into the program has actually been identified by owners, EPCs, contractors, or engineers as an area they're interested in hearing more about. So I think this is a good breakdown. And second question is around your level of experience. And again, this is also pretty typical for us. We tend to have a very experienced attendee base. People that really understand the industry because they've worked in it for a long time. But one of the things that we're encouraging is that you get the next gen in, the ones that are going to be running the industry in the future. We need to start educating those people. So as much as we're thrilled that we do tend to get a very experienced group of attendees, I think for your own purposes, it's really great if we can get some of the newer people to the industry engaged as well. Alexis, anything you'd like to add as a comment?
No, I agree. It's obviously great to see our experienced members joining us for to learn some new things. But yeah, obviously want to get as many people who are new to the industry engaged as possible. That really is the future of our work, which leads to the next question.
Yeah. So, and this is also reflective of what we've seen over the last few conferences. We do these around the world in Europe, various parts of North America. And what we've seen is the knowledge level and the experience level has just naturally increased over time. So you'll notice that the programming is probably geared a little more to people with intermediate and advanced knowledge, but across those 20 breakout sessions, you will find some sessions that are geared more to people with lower levels of knowledge and people with higher levels of knowledge. So we try to balance the program out for the audience that we have. And some of the sessions that we have scheduled for day one around work phase planning would definitely fall into the intermediate and advanced category, but there is a range out there. So great.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Good information there. Good audience participation. Thank you, everybody. So the day one agenda, we have 3 plenary sessions and 10 breakout sessions spread up over 5 different tracks. I'm also very excited to be able to participate in the inaugural AWP Leadership Awards at the end of the day. Please stick around for that. I think it's going to be a worthwhile presentation, and I'm personally very pleased to be a part of it. Let's walk through a little bit the program itself. Steve? So starting off right after this opening session, we'll have a team presenting material management systems in relation to AWP. Really a critical topic. I think a number of us who've been engaged with AWP always find ourselves asking why material management was not more significantly considered at the beginning. So in a work practice that involves ensuring materials at the workspace at the right time, with the right people, material management is really key. So this is a session I'm looking forward to learn about practical experiences of how to properly manage materials and the implications of doing it correctly and perhaps not correctly. Steve? Then we move into our breakout tracks. We have 5 main tracks. You can see them on the screen here. The key to these tracks is they were really determined by the executive and the advisory committees about what owners teams really wanted to see and learn about. So that's where the focus comes in. What owners teams want to know, and the individual breakout sessions are really key and focused around making sure that that knowledge is conveyed to owners teams, and so engineering and contractor teams can understand what an owner is looking for. So I think these are very, very focused, very, very valuable to understand how AWP can be very successful for an owner. Oh, yeah, sorry. So the 11 a.m. or morning breakout sessions, a couple of interesting sessions here. Scaffolding one certainly I think will be of interest to a lot of people. But across the group here, you'll see very, very focused on what makes AWP successful and what opportunities have had. Sort of a case study type approach. This is really key for owners and contractors to understand each other and be able to communicate successfully in an AWP language. Afternoon breakout sessions mimic that with a little more specific detail. Again, some case studies, but some very, very specifics on what to do, how to be successful, and what tools to be able to use in order to deploy AWP successfully on your next large project. So some good information here as well. How to get to those breakout sessions? Steve will explain how that's all going to work.
Thanks, Alexis. Indeed. So I believe if you are here in this session now, you got here via the virtual event portal on FeedLoop. I won't give you a tour, but I will encourage you to look around. There's a lot of great networking tools. Of course, encouraging you to visit our sponsors lounge. Our sponsors have posted a number of great free resources, downloadables there for you to help you in your AWP journey. And we'd love for you to also reach out to fellow attendees and maybe even try some of these group video chats. So let's just go to the task at hand, which is explaining how to navigate to your sessions. So in the left-hand menu on FeedLoop, click the Sessions button to open the Sessions menu, and you'll see we are currently live here in the AWP conference opening session. All sessions are listed in chronological order. They're also tagged based on whether they're a plenary session or a breakout session and in which track. But you can use the filter tools to either choose a breakout track and session or to find your way back to the plenary stream. You can search for a specific session as well, but once you find the session that you're interested in, select it and click the button to join the session. You'll be prompted to enter your name and email address, and you'll receive a join link after that. So again, all of the plenary sessions will be run in this main stream for both day 1 and day 2 of the conference. So when you aren't in a breakout session, please come back here to enjoy all the great plenary sessions we've got planned for you. And I'll pass it back to Alexis now.
Thank you, Steve. That's really important. It's important to know how to get into those breakout sessions. Wouldn't want to miss those. So after lunch, we have 2 remaining plenaries, creating buildable packages. Really, this is what AWP is all about. So we have definitely several industry experts here who will walk through what it takes to actually build packages, what size packages ought to be, and how those packages ought to be turned into IWPs properly. I think this is really one of the key and hearts of the 2-day session, is truly understanding this, both from an owner's and a contractor's perspective, if for no other reason, to make sure we're using a common language. You know, I think when sometimes an owner says what a buildable package is, and perhaps a contractor says the same thing, there may not be the same understanding of what that really means. So sessions like this, I think, will help both sides understand and be able to work successfully in the AWP environment. And then finally, I get to talk again with a workplace planning case study. Myself and the team for a large project we're working on will walk us through what we've done at our work site, job site, in order to support AWP development and deployment from the incoming engineering onto the job site. So don't want to give too much about it away, but that'll be the 3 o'clock in the afternoon session. I think it'll be a good conversation where you get to see an opportunity for an owner and a contractor talk a little bit about how it's actually going. Hopefully get some opportunity to generate some good questions in that session. And then finally, at the end of the day, we have the Leadership Awards session. Myself and Savannah, along with Lloyd, will present the first ever AWP Leadership Awards, as well as describe future sets of awards we're going to create around project-based type awards. So those projects that are making use of AWP successfully, making sure they get some recognition. Those awards won't be handed out this year, but the idea is we'll make sure the community is aware that we're putting forth the awards criteria and people can start to apply. So this is a neat development in the AWP world, making sure we give recognition to those individuals, also those project teams that are attempting to deploy AWP successfully, helping to grow the community, and ultimately making delivery of large projects more successful. So please do stick around for that at the end of the day. I think it'll be worthwhile. And then with that, I think we're at the point we're ready to start the first presentation. So it'll be Eric and the team talking about material management and how that feeds into optimizing your AWP implementation. So I think if we're ready, we can go ahead.
Thanks, Alexis. We'll just take a moment to bring the team on board here. Okay,